All right, we're live and welcome to this episode of the Elevating IT podcast being recorded live on Facebook and on YouTube Live. And I'm with Dave Goldie from Cytracom. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. How are you doing? Hello to everybody out there. Awesome to get connected. It's been a while since we last saw each other, although it really hasn't been that long, right? I mean, I think it was, as we were just chatting about, February in Arizona, and like that really isn't that long ago. But with everything that's happened,
feels
globally,
like a year, right?
It's like a lifetime ago, man. The world is a whole different place, isn't it? It's crazy.
God, dude, it's crazy. And for those of you listening to the podcast on your, without watching it, because we're recording this on video. So if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, I am wearing my audit t-shirt. Dave is wearing his Cytracom t-shirt. We're representing our companies, but until about 20 minutes ago, I was actually wearing the same exact shirt as him because the Cytracom shirt, which I stole from your table in Arizona when you weren't looking, is really comfortable.
The new Cytracom t-shirt is amazing. It is an absolutely, one of a kind because they're all handmade in a company in Texas. And so there's some imperfection that comes with that, but we love that, right? Because it's not like they're all generated on mass scale by machine. It's still, hand done the old school way. And then for me personally, I asked for a design where I could wear a blazer on top of it, but you could still see
smart
the logo and see, Cytracom, the company that I work for. And so ask and thou shalt receive. Yeah, it's a pretty cool shirt. It's basically the only shirt I wear now.
No kidding. It's really comfortable. I wear it around the house, man. It's like the most comfortable. I have like a couple shirts I'm one of those people that like collars bug me and certain things about, like, I'm very weird about like wearing certain kinds of clothes. And that's just a really cool shirt. I'm glad I stole it, but I kind of feel bad now, like that they're custom made. They're small batch. Like I feel like I, probably shouldn't have taken
it. No way, man. I'm glad that you took one. Yeah. And as we were just talking about, I was like, why aren't you wearing it now? Aren't we talking a little bit about Cytracom today? Like you could be repping the Cytracom crew. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. The cool thing nowadays, though, is we don't have to worry about pants.
Right.
We're all on virtual meetings, and as long as we don't stand up.
Right.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
I'm not telling you what I'm wearing or not wearing. So nobody needs to know. With that said, Dave, I want to talk about Cytracom a little bit. Introduce you. You obviously work for Cytracom as by yourself, and you guys are connecting the modern workforce. Talk about that a little bit. I wanted to chat with you on this because we want to, you guys talk a lot about simplifying and making things simpler, and that's what audit is all about. And I want to, you've got some interesting things that have been going on the past couple of weeks. So share a little bit about what you're doing with Cytracom, all that. Give you a commercial moment to give you a commercial.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard that I talk about how crazy the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks, the last couple of years have been for me personally and professionally. I think with Cytracom in the last couple of years, what you've seen is a lot of growth. The market really knows Cytracom as VoIP made simple, right? And so the market knows us as a VoIP company, and our partner community knows that we only partner with managed service providers. So we're not just channel only. We're really, MSP only, IT service only. And so in knowing that and in working with that community over the course of the last decade, Cytracom knows that the best way to serve the community, in particular in the conversation of VoIP, is making it simple. Most MSPs in the past didn't want to touch VoIP. And when they did, it went wrong. And then that was a bad reflection on them. And where did it go wrong? It maybe went wrong with the product, or it went wrong with the support of the product. It's not the highest revenue generator. And I think now managed service providers see that offering VoIP is a mandatory part of your standard offering as a managed service provider, simply from the fact that you've got to protect your customers, right? If you're not offering VoIP, then somebody else is going to.
Yeah.
And in the last couple of years, Cytracom has transitioned very quickly. We've grown a lot. We've more than doubled the number of employees. We've doubled kind of all of our key metrics, number of partners and revenue and all of those things. So we're seeing a lot of success, but the only way that we're successful is if our partners are successful, because we don't sell Cytracom directly to anybody. We only sell it through MSPs. So we have to make it easy for an MSP to sell VoIP and to support it. And so most of our partners, and we're 2,200 partners now, and only in North America, if you talk to them, they'll say, yeah, Cytracom, they make it so easy to sell. They make it so easy to support. The big transition was last year's Simplify event, and that was our inaugural annual event that we introduced in 2019, where we talk about where the company is and where it's going and where the product is and where it's going. And in 2019, it was, let's take the company from VoIP to unified communications. And what's unified communications? It's communication anywhere, anytime, any device, any means of communication that people need to use at the time of communication. And I mean, in crisis, we see, but already before crisis, the world was transitioning to communication anywhere, anytime. I think crisis, in particular, COVID, just really sped that up. Mm-hmm. Simplify 2020 is what you were referencing, which is, our biggest event of the year. It's a virtual event anyway, so COVID didn't really change that for us. And, we had close to 1,000 partners there. And so now we're talking about connecting the modern workforce. And so most people ask me, what does that mean? And so what it really is modern communication. And I think it's not a far stretch for people to understand we need to be able to communicate anywhere, anytime, any device, any means of communication. It's not just voice. It's not about having a phone anymore. It's about having mobile applications, having desktop applications, web-based applications to take that communication anywhere. Modern communications is about context. It's about having the contextual information, the contextual data that you need at your fingertips at the time of communication. And so I'll use voice as an example. If I get a telephone call, likely I don't know who it is, right? I don't know right off the bat who it is, what company they're at. And the more data, the more information that I can have available at my fingertips, the more valuable that communication is going to be. Right. And so the problem isn't that the data, isn't there. The data is there. We've got more than enough data to have high value conversations. The problem is that the data isn't there right at the point of the communication. So call comes in. Sure, I can search my CRM, or as an MSP, I can search my PSA and I can find out who it is, what company they're at. I can look at tickets, or I can look at deals that are open from the sales perspective in the CRM. I can see notes and recent communication and all of those things. But that's the problem. You got to search for it, right? And with communication in the way that it is now, being all over the place, really, and so quick. You've got to have the data and information right at your fingertips in order to have a successful communication, in order to have a high value communication. And so that's really what Cytracom is doing now, is we're connecting that information. We're connecting that data so the user has the data that they need to have the highest value conversation, if it's a voice conversation, or at the time of whatever the conversation is, if it's messaging, if it's texting, if it's faxing, if it's, all of these different forms of communication that we're using now. So yeah, I'm sorry, that was a mouthful, but it's because it's been a crazy couple of years, man. There's been a lot going on.
Yeah, and that's the fun of working in this field. Technology changes daily. Yeah.
Well, and then COVID, right? And COVID has made everything change.
Like a
daily.
Change like we've never seen before. All of a sudden my grandmother knows, my daughter's grandmother knows what what Zoom is, like
Oh yeah.
you only knew what a
Yeah,
computer was last year.
my mom was on Zoom the other night playing bridge with her girlfriends.
Yeah,
This is
it's crazy.
it's not that technology is far stretched for my mom. She's actually pretty tech savvy for her grandma, but yeah, I mean, hearing her on Zoom, I was like, wow, holy, we should probably have invested a few more shillings in that company, and we'd probably be richer men today, wouldn't we?
Yes, we would,
Although a
man.
lot of theirs is free, right? So like that's the other conversation that we're having with our partners right now is like, during COVID, what happened? So most of our partners, most MSPs that we engage with, yeah, I mean, you had to get people working from home, right?
Right.
So what did you do? You quickly scrambled to figure out the connectivity, the security, the hardware, the software, all those things that people were going to need to be able to work from home. And communication for a lot of our partners fell to the end of the priority scale. For our partners, they're customers that are still using phones, which is crazy to me. I mean, obviously I work for a communications company and phones are part of our offering, but like I'm super surprised at how many phones we ship. I'm extremely surprised at how many phones we were still shipping during COVID.
Wow.
But that's because that part of it was super easy. Like our phones, you just unplug it and take the phone home and plug it back in. And as long as your network is functioning at a high enough level, then you're probably going to get pretty good performance out of the Cytracom phone. But with the apps, again, you don't really need the phone. So at least from a communication standpoint, our partners who have customers using Cytracom, it's pretty easy to get them working from home. And then those that didn't, there was kind of more important things to deal with, than communication. And I get that, right? Like to me, I'm a salesperson, I'm a numbers person, so I'm always crunching the numbers. We're on average, around $30 per user. Our partners get some commission out of that. But, our partners are charging for IT service and their core business is IT service, and that pays them a lot more than Cytracom or any other communication tool. So obviously they focused on, survival and retaining their customers and those sorts of things. And communication, we all just figure it out, right? Like since the caveman days, we figured out ways to communicate. So like during crisis and during COVID, people figured out ways to communicate, and Zoom was a great fit, as lots of other communication tools are.
Right.
And so, the problem isn't, again, how to communicate or getting the ability to communicate. The problem I see now is a problem I am facing. And it's funny because I work for a communications company, but like I've got my personal cell phone number. Mm-hmm. I've got my business number. I've got communication coming in from so many different applications, right? Like my phone can ring, and even just in that scenario, I don't know if it's a business call or a personal call. Also, I've got text, messaging coming in from a whole bunch of different applications. It's not the problem of being able to communicate, and in particular with COVID, being able to communicate from home. That wasn't the problem. It's that there's too much.
Yeah, it makes it impossible to keep track of like, okay, which thing and where and how.
It's all over the place, right? Yeah. Like even me, I work for a communications company, and like even ourselves, we're adopting our tools more and more and more and more as we continue to invest in the product and in the features and in the offering. So now it's becoming easier for me, like in that calling conversation, I now actually do know, because I'm moving all of my business to my business profile and my dedicated business number that should serve business. Whereas my personal cell phone should be for personal, and so just being able to have that separation, I mean, that serves me better personally, my family life, my wife, if I'm getting a text message at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can show her that that's coming through to my Cytracom number, then it's probably a much easier conversation than if it's coming through to my personal cell phone.
Right.
And we see that, there's doctors that are out there giving out their personal cell phone numbers, and in a time of crisis, it's like, people are texting you and calling you on your personal number. Like it's out of control, right? So, the first step in modern communication is create separation between business and personal, right? Create that separation. It will serve you personally better. Professionally, it'll also serve you better because you'll be having, the right conversation from the get-go, knowing that it's a business conversation.
Right. And if you're cheating on your wife and they should call the business number, I think that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. Honey, not cheating on you. Yeah,
not cheating. Not my girlfriend.
No, I told you the time difference. I'm in Vancouver, so yeah, the time difference makes it wonky. I get communication at some weird times for sure. But it's not my girlfriend. It is work. And then try to get some efficiency in the number of tools that we're using for communication. Like if you can cut that down, even by one or two, it just makes your life so much easier, right? And really from the professional standpoint, what our partners are seeing is that reduction in communication tools creates more efficiency for them. It creates more efficiency for their customers. And that's money. Efficiency is money. That's a money conversation. If you can create more efficiency in your life and in your business, then you will be more profitable. And so, we believe in small business. I believe in small business. I get up every morning because of small business. I believe that small business is vital to the North American economy. I believe it's vital in, was that a notification popping up there? I'm so sorry. That was amateur hour. If you guys heard that, I had a notification beep in the background.
I didn't hear, but that's okay. That's the reality.
Of communication going wrong.
I can't tell you how many times I've been on something where it's like ding, ding. Actually, I had somebody calling me on Facebook, like, the messenger, they're using the Messenger app to call me through the Facebook Messenger app. I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting thing about communication right there is people now know, like I get a call on my phone, I get a call on Messenger, I get a call on VoIP, they know how to get you.
Yeah. Well, and then that again creates the problem, right? Like everybody is offering some form of communication now, right? Instagram messaging, Facebook calling, it's coming at us from everywhere. So it's like, you got to establish some ground rules here, right? Like let's just start. Is this personal? Or is this business? And as you and I know, there's definitely a mix there, right? Like you and I are friends. We've known each other for years. There's always going to be that blend of business and personal, and there should be in a lot of cases. But when it comes to communication, you should start with knowing, is this a business relationship or is it a personal relationship? And then, it's also how we're communicating now that's really interesting. And you brought up, getting a call through Facebook, and I talked about Instagram messaging, and so there's all these messaging tools too, right? And that does create an opportunity for better communication and more efficiency, because it is a better way to communicate. It is the more modern way to communicate, is through messaging. We recently acquired access to a study that said 78% of US consumers say that the fastest way to reach them is text messaging. And so I thought about that. And so, we offer business messaging. We're not looking to necessarily compete with Slack or Teams. And I get that question all the time. Like, why did you go and create business messaging? Everybody's using, this tool or the other tool. That's not why we created it. It's an added bonus that if there's some small to medium-sized businesses that get some value out of using business messaging internally, if they're not using another tool, then fine. Yeah, get some value out of Cytracom's business messaging for your internal use. And if you didn't see that in COVID, obviously we all got on Zoom calls, but I also during a Zoom call was messaging, my staff. And so it definitely keeps us better connected internally, and messaging is a key part of that. But again, 78% of US consumers say the fastest way to reach them is a text message. We really developed business messaging for external communication, because most of the messaging tools most of them are for personal use. Let's start there. And then the ones that are for business, they're more about serving the internal need. Let's keep us connected and let's communicate internally. Not a lot of them serve the external piece very well. And that's where we saw the opportunity to give our partners the opportunity to communicate with their customers better, giving their customers an opportunity to communicate with their customers better. And then another added bonus was giving us an opportunity to communicate with our partners and their customers in a better way. Like I'm a sales leader, and I can't tell you how often I'm telling people, pick up the phones, pick up the phones, pick up the phones, pick up the phones, right? We've been doing that for 20 years, right?
Sure.
That is the least effective way of communicating.
It really is.
You try to reach me on the phone. I mean, this. You tried to reach me on the phone. You try to reach me on the phone.
Yeah.
You're not going to reach me. I'm in Zoom meetings all day.
You're on the phone already. You're making calls. I mean, there's
not going to
there's tons of reasons. I mean, it's number one, you're busy working on the phone. You're in Zoom calls. You're doing demos, but also people. The other side of it is people just don't want to pick up their phone anymore.
No way. Yeah, and especially if you don't know the number, or especially if you're getting like some weird Canadian number from this dude calling you, right? Like, I mean, that was one of the main drivers why I need to use a business phone number, right? Is like even just something as simple as interviewing candidates to help grow our business. If I was calling from my cell phone, they'd see a Canadian number, they'd be like, okay, this is a scam. I'm not going to answer this call.
Right.
The Canadians are invading again.
We might be cool with that. Like, I think.
Would you?
Okay. Yeah. Ready for a change.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that political discussion, but we love our American brothers and sisters, and what's going on in the world today for all of us is really tough, and in particular in North America. And I think it is more about us coming together for sure. But anyways, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, you can't reach me on the phone. You can't reach me via email. I mean, I actually am an inbox zero guy, and I've believed in that strategy for email my entire email career. But I can't do it. Like, I cannot do it. I'll be honest, and sorry, Zane, if our CEO is on here, but like I abandoned email. Like, I just abandoned it. I just said, if it's important, somebody's going to find another means of communication, because I'm CC'd and included on so many different emailing lists and all those things where it's a mountain I'm never going to climb. So what's the point? I scan it quickly. If Mike from audit, sent me an email, I'm probably not going to read that one. But if Zane sends me an email, I'll probably read that one.
I can't blame you.
You're not going to get me on phone. You're not going to get me on email. Are you going to get me on a messaging tool? Well, we use a couple of internal messaging tools. And no, talk to any of my staff. Like, yes, I'll get to it. If you send me an internal message using Cytracom business messaging, I'll get to it. We use Slack, to be honest with you, as well. And a lot of companies do. And so if you're not going to get me on Slack, you eventually will get me, like in 24, 48, or 72 hours or something. I will get to it, but It's definitely not the fastest way to get to me. But send me a text message. Boom. Pops up on my phone. I can read it without even unlocking my phone. I can be on a call, on a Zoom, typing an email, working on some work, and easy, bam, you've reached me. And if you've got a compelling message in there, I'm going to open it up, and I'm probably going to respond. And so that got me thinking, how much do we use it in our sales process, right? Like one of our greatest challenges in sales, getting connected with our prospects.
Right.
Like, that is not half the battle. That is like 80, 90% of the battle, right? Is just like get a prospect on the phone or get in contact or get in a meeting with a prospect, right? Well, how many people are leveraging text messaging to do that? I mean, I don't blame people because we're a communications company and we're just really starting down that path. I'm telling my people now, how many text messages did you make today? Not how many calls did you make today?
That's wild.
But 78% of US consumers say it's the fastest way to reach them.
Wow.
58% of US consumers say that they view a business more favorably if SMS is part of their strategy. So you're talking about the fastest way to reach your prospects or reach your customers. You're talking about the way that they're going to build trust in you and view you positively. That all points back to text messaging. And I tell you, most people that I talk to, they're not using it in their sales process. I say, what's the biggest challenge in your sales process? Getting a prospect or customer into a meeting. Okay, so what are you doing to get meetings? Well, we're calling. Now, we're calling 100 times a day. Yesterday we were calling 50. Now we're calling 100. Tomorrow we'll be calling 150 times a day. No, text. Have a contextual, high value message in that text, but use it. Put your meeting link in there. They can book. Like somebody the other day sent me a text message and they were like, I got to reschedule our meeting. Click on the link. I mean, it really was a brilliant sales tactic because I normally don't fall victim to those, but I definitely did. And I ended up booking a meeting with somebody prospecting me.
Awesome.
So, it's the world of communication is always evolving. That's day by day, just like everything is. But you've got to look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it is probably not working in the best way that it could be working. And that probably means that there's time waste and there probably is money wasted in that. And so the inverse of that is do things more efficiently, reduce the time waste, and use the most effective way of communicating and make sure it's an extremely high value communication, and that'll make you more successful as a business. Instead of looking at crisis as how are we going to survive this, I want small businesses to be looking at crisis as how are we going to thrive, right, and not just survive. And now we're coming out of this thing and we're looking at the new normal. And the new normal isn't going to make it easier for us from a communication standpoint. I mean, nope. Most companies, Gartner did a big study on this, and we got access to another study that said, 81% of employees who were not working from home were working from home during COVID. And then HR professionals believe that 41% of those employees will continue to at least work in a blended work from home office environment post-COVID, post-crisis. So we're all going to be faced with this scenario, whether we're doing it or our partners or our customers or their customers. This blended work environment isn't going to make communication any easier, right? So you've got to find ways to be more efficient and more effective and more valuable in your communication. So what else, man? What else do you want to talk about?
Well, we're coming. This has been very educational, Dave. This is good. It's an easy interview. I just wind you up and let you go, man.
Well, most of the time, you know how that works with me. Most of the time, you got to rein this puppy in, right?
Wow, that's cool. I learned a lot of stuff, and that's great. I know we're coming up on the hour, so we're about to wrap up. But I just want to leave off with emphasizing that MSPs absolutely should have a VoIP solution. We see a lot of what people are presenting because we're a sales presentation tool, and not everybody's using VoIP. And I got to say, if I was starting an MSP today, I would be getting on the phone, text messaging, trying to set an appointment, asking people if they need an audit of their system, how their IT is doing. And if they said I already got an IT provider and I exhaust that, I can't get in that way. I'd be like, well, are they taking care of your phone system? Are they taking care of your VoIP? No? Let me come in and talk to you about that. And I would wedge my way right in there.
Yeah, a lot of our partners, I mean, again, it's protect your revenue first. I mean, if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it. So it's quite simple. If you like money and you don't want to lose it, then you
Yeah.
better do it
If
because
you're not
somebody else is
doing it, you're
going to.
leaving a big hole. You're leaving a big hole in the wall. It's like leaving a door open for some other MSP to come in
But
and
there's revenue there. And like it should
yeah,
be simple revenue. And coming back to that
easy.
message of what's important to audit is the same thing that's important to Citracom. It should be easy. And money should be easy.
Right.
And even if it's not a lot of money, it's easy money.
Absolutely. Well, let's wrap up by telling everybody how they can get in touch with you. What's your text message number?
My text message number, 469-850-2009. Yeah,
Nice.
hit me. I mean, that's the business number for sure. And I absolutely get that out. I mean, you can text
You're not
me
giving your
anytime.
personal cell phone. I got your personal cell phone. I'll give that to everybody.
You got my personal cell. Yeah, you can text me at 3 a.m.
Hey, Dave, do you have your Cytracom shirt on?
Go to Cytracom.com and if you're not a partner, click the Become a Partner button and we allow you to, if you decide to move forward with a partnership with us, which really has no requirement on the partner side, we allow you to have free access to Cytracom. So the best way to check us out is to just get in there, click the Become a Partner button, and go and get access to Cytracom. See what it's like.
Cool. Well, I threw your link up on there, and we'll leave it at that. Dave, this has been great. Thank you very much for coming on and talking to me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It was so great to connect with you. And as we were saying, I can't wait till the next time when you and I are side by side at a booth and if we're wearing masks, that's fine. But the day that we can embrace as men should again, I look forward to it.
Right. And hoist a drink at the bar.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I'm stuck in Canada for a while, though, I think.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be, too soon, but we'll be back on the road eventually. I mean, I think, worst case scenario, we'll be talking, we'll be chatting again next year. But
yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it. Hey, and thanks to everybody. I hope that you got some value out of today.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure to check out the Elevating IT podcast on iTunes or go to elevatingit.net, and we will see you on the next show.